Texas and Oklahoma enter the SEC, one with really high expectations in Texas. And I saw something from Joel Klatt, and Joel Klatt he loves to pump up all the teams outside of the SEC, and he's continuing to pump up Texas and Oklahoma, claiming Texas is elite. We saw what they did in Alabama. And I just want to remind people what Alabama was when they marched into Tuscaloosa. The very next week, they marched into USF and nearly lost to South Florida. They were a terrible football team. The team that beat Georgia and the team that lost to Texas were not the same team. And you can say that was the biggest one, easily the biggest win of Texas of the last decade. And there's no doubt about it, right? But they also lost their two other most important games in Washington and the college football playoff and the Red River rivalry to Oklahoma, the other team joining the SEC. Oklahoma has a tougher schedule. There's no doubt about it. If you're going to say who's going to lose more games, but is there a chance, Oklahoma, we look at this end of the year and maybe Oklahoma goes 9-3 and Texas goes 10-2, and you're a little bit more impressed with what Oklahoma did, especially if they beat Texas, which they dominated that series at 11-4 in their last 15 games. Is there any chance we look at Oklahoma and we're like, hey, this team's a lot more respected than we maybe have thought, and Texas isn't quite what we may have thought?
I mean, everybody just kind of forgot that Oklahoma was, Lincoln Riley left. Brent Venables struggled in his first year and then immediately brought that team back to relevance. Everybody is just all over Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns for whatever reason. And it is because of 1 year, literally all Texas has done is 1 year under Steve Sarkisian. Now, I do believe in trends and where teams are trending, and Texas is definitely trending in the right direction. But this is not a team that has proven it year after year, class after class, and they're joining an SEC where they're the biggest targets now. Georgia's not the biggest target, and though they're the best team, the number one team in the country, Texas has got the biggest target on their back. Oklahoma is right up there as well, but Texas is the biggest. Everybody wants to beat Texas because they think their poop doesn't stink. And I think I would not be shocked one bit, mostly because I'm very low on Texas and I'm higher than most on Venables in Oklahoma. I would not be shocked one bit if we walked away, throw the records out, if people are like, wow, Oklahoma impressed me and Texas disappointed me.
I mean, and I think a lot of this comes down to those two teams face. We're going to get to see them play on a neutral site field. Oklahoma in Texas's best season still won that game. And Oklahoma could be a better team than they were last year. And I think there's a good chance Texas is worse. I think there's a very good chance that Texas is worse than they were a year ago. There's nothing that tells me Oklahoma can't march into that showdown, in week 6 or whatever it is, and win that game again. And if they do that and go 9-3, I mean, we're talking about a Texas team that probably loses at least 2 games. You're walking away from this. I mean, Oklahoma's the program that you should really be worried about if you're talking about wins and losses. If you want the money, if you want the showcase, if you want the Sarkisian and all the stuff that comes with that.
Oklahoma very rarely does things that are wrong. Oklahoma is one of the most long-standing, successful college programs that has gone multiple coaches, has had success. Now, national championships hasn't been the case since 2000s, but in that period they have had roaring success. Texas has had no success. I'm talking the last successful year they really had was when Vince Young won that national championship. Past that, they've been, borderline.
I mean, since Mack Brown was there.
Mack Brown left, and that team has never been the same. And I think, everybody is just, for whatever reason, it literally was 1 year, and that 1 year, we're forgetting Oklahoma, like you said, ended up beating Texas. Texas's PR team, their marketing department, whatever they do, they deserve a raise because they've got everyone believing that they've been this powerhouse for the last 2 decades, when in reality it's been Oklahoma. I don't know it off of the top of my head, but I guarantee you Oklahoma has just as many, including bowl games, just as many double-digit wins since that Vince Young championship as Texas has 500 seasons. That is the perfect example of what Oklahoma has been. And they gave Brent Venables an ungodly extension this offseason. Everybody's questioning it. I don't know if we should be questioning them. Oklahoma has time after time from coach to coach has made the right decision. And I don't know why we're just not trusting them. And we are, not us, the national landscape is just trusting Texas and Sarkisian.
Is there a scenario that you see this year knowing now this does incorporate the schedule because that's
I do think Texas is better. They have the better quarterback, but I don't know why everybody
Jackson Arnold, I think people is going to surprise people.
I agree. I've been higher on Oklahoma than a lot of people. Is there a
scenario where you could see Oklahoma make the college football playoff this year?
Yeah, I think there's 7 teams in the SEC that I could make the case.
And you think Oklahoma should?
Oklahoma is one of them. Yeah. Oklahoma is undoubtedly
we talk about how
because they will have the schedule benefit more than Florida is the only other one who could have and they're not even going to be in the conversation of the college football playoff. Oklahoma has the hardest schedule I've ever seen of a team that can potentially get to the college football playoff, in my opinion.
And if Oklahoma goes 9-3 with that schedule, I don't see how they're not in it. I really don't. Because that'll mean they've beaten a team like LSU, they've beaten a team like Alabama or something like that. They've beaten a team like Texas. Maybe they beat 2 of those teams, and then they beat all the teams they should have and lost to probably some close games to some really good teams.
Yeah,
I think a 9-3 team, whether it be from the Big 10 or the Big 12, I think there'll be a couple of those.
I just think Oklahoma is just this forgotten stepchild, this redheaded stepchild in this Texas and Oklahoma duo coming to the SEC.
Which makes no sense.
And it's purely marketing or PR.
Well, it's just people want Texas. They've wanted Texas back so that they're finally had a good season, and now
what's crazy is also if we're looking at like a money thing, like Oklahoma brings in so much. They're already a top 5 program in the SEC in terms of money already, and they might be top 3. Yeah. They are a massive brand.
But there is a different thing than Texas. I mean, Texas is number 1.
No. I agree. But I'm also like, Oklahoma is not chopped liver. Like, this is a blue blood Oklahoma school that has had rich history. They bring in a ton of money. And they've had way more success over the last decade than Texas. I don't understand why we're just forgetting about Oklahoma. Like,
you want to know why I think it is?
Texas.
They got ugly uniforms. Texas has cool uniforms.
I like Oklahoma's uniforms. They're classic.
No, see, that's what people say about Alabama's uniforms.
They're classic.
Hideous. They're hideous.
They're classic.
They're a disgusting look to society, and that's why nobody takes Oklahoma serious. You got to have good uniforms.
I don't think any uniforms are really too ugly. I can always find something good in any uniform.
I don't like that color maroon.
Mississippi State's are pretty ugly, I guess.
I like Mississippi State's better than the garnet.
Yeah.
Because I like South Carolina's. Those are sick.
That's a different red.
The garnet?
Yeah, that's a different red.
A little bit different.
Mississippi State's is like poop. Like poop stains on my underwear.
I don't know what kind of poop you're